If you love cars like we do, and you look at cars all the time like we do, there's something very satisfying about sharing that with other people. And Flipping Bangers, the TV series, has been so popular. There's been a lot of people asking us for more stuff.
More stuff is coming, but we are waiting to see what the news is going to be on season 4. So we thought we'd do a podcast in the meantime so that people can see what we're actually up to.
Everyone likes a podcast, don't they?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Well, certainly people say they do.
Well, it's a good thing because we get to see more cars and we get to go and look at other people's cars. It doesn't really matter if they're for sale. Sometimes it's enough just to look over it and say, you know, this might be a car that we'd like to do in the future.
Yeah, I get it. So we'll go through the process. We look at the car, what it stands for, what we know about those cars, how it presents.
And conclude with giving it the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Would we buy this car to flip?
I got it. And that sounds like something that I'd listen to.
Yeah, me too.
Podcasting.
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Yes, and I mean, I'm waiting to see what you have in store for me because I know that you've put a bit of time and thought into this one.
Yes, I've had to locate it. And it's not been easy, actually. It has a very specific resonance with me because when I was younger, I worked for several magazines, one of which was a magazine about hot cars in its day.
Hot cars.
And this car was very much an underdog. Very much an underdog.
Right, okay.
But it's...
well, now you got me thinking, because you're saying resonance to you. I'm thinking about all the cars that I know about that you've owned.
Oh, I've not owned one.
Okay,
No,
it's not one of those.
I would... Well, you know
And
what
it's
I'm like
hot.
with an underdog. It's got a few clues on it. So we're now standing in a garage with a car under a cover.
We've come out of the lovely sunshine into a garage which is full of interesting tat and objet d'art, I can see.
Yeah, there's some cracking cars in here as well. But let's not digress. Let's get...
There's some clues in here. Everywhere in here, there's a lot of Fiat-based objet d'art.
Yes.
And the cover that's over, I presume it's the one with the cover on.
Yeah.
It's this one right in front of it. It's got Fiat written on the side. It's got Panda written on it too. And to me, that looks like a Fiat Panda. And the only way you get a hot Fiat Panda is if you set fire to it.
Well, that's not true. That's absolutely not true, is it? Because 4x4 Panda was fantastic.
Great little car, yeah.
It's not a Panda. It looks
like a Panda.
The cover's a bit of a red herring.
Well, the cover fits perfectly, so what is it?
Well, it does look like a Panda, doesn't it?
It still looks like a bit like... It's like... Ooh, hold on.
It's an Uno.
It is an Uno. Is this not the sort of the elder sibling or the bigger sibling to the Panda?
Well, they were about at the same time, of course.
Yeah.
We're just taking the cover off now. So the cover did have Panda and Fiat written on it, which was a bit of a red herring. But actually, it's a first generation Fiat Uno. Yes, he spotted it.
I have. It says Turbo IE on the front.
Yes, it's the Fiat Uno Turbo.
IE. What's the IE? Well,
it's injected, isn't it? It's a petrol injected.
Injection electronic?
Electronique,
Oh,
maybe.
Sorry, that's French.
Maybe. But it just means that the turbocharger doesn't have to go through the carburettor like it had to on the Renault 5 Turbo.
On the Gordini thing.
It's a white... obviously, three-door Uno turbo, first generation, but I think probably with the 1300 engine, I think it was 1301 actually, wasn't it? The early ones were just under 13 and the later one was 1301.
Okay, I know they did a facelift and to me this looks like this is probably pre-facelift model.
Are you not impressed with this car? Am I detecting you're not
I'm not bowled over. I mean, as we were coming, you were so excited.
This is the car equivalent to Britpop. This was the start of the hot hatch revolution. It was all going on. Giugiaro was in the game.
This will explain why you were effervescent with excitement.
So exciting.
Yes.
It's be ages to find one.
Fiat Uno.
It's a Fiat Uno Turbo.
It's like, the fact that it's got alloy wheels is a good thing rather than plastic hubcaps.
Yes.
The fact that it's got Turbo IE written on the front, that to me makes it slightly more interesting. It still looks like a Fiat Uno.
You wait till we get inside, though.
Really?
Oh, it's very special.
There's a box of chocolates in there for me or something to cheer me up.
They just did a great job. I'm just going to put this in context by saying what was going on when this...
Please
So
do.
these were cheap cars. I think when it was new, I think this was around maybe 8,000 when it was new.
Okay.
So its main rivals would have been Golf GTI.
Yeah, Renault 4s, Renault 5s rather.
Renault 5 GT Turbos, yes.
Yeah. Polo G40s maybe.
Yeah, XR2.
Yes.
205 GTI, of course.
Wow, yes.
All of which was slightly more expensive than this. And I remember at the time that this was unruly, lots of turbo lag, very little grip. But people took that as being good fun.
Exciting?
Exciting, yeah.
Worrying can be exciting.
And you just don't see them. Like so many cars, you just don't see them anymore.
This is very true. I am very, very surprised to see the cover come off one of these because, I mean, I thought they had all gone.
But I think with these in particular, with the Unos, it's because the money's never really been in them.
Well,
so people have never invested in doing them up.
Hold on. OK, so we're in the UK.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a particular fan of the Uno for lots of reasons, but I can imagine that on the continent, then these things are a lot more popular and there's a lot more of them stashed away in little garages such as this.
Well, the turbos, I don't know, but the Uno itself was a massive, 8 million or something.
It was a ridiculous run number on these things. And it's like,
absolutely
wasn't
massive.
it like the second or the third highest run of, cars produced?
I think it's right up there, yeah. I don't know the exact figures, but it is absolutely huge, yeah.
There were zillions of them out there. Let's just keep it simple. There were zillions. Can I have a look under the bonnet?
Yes. I don't exactly know where the... Oh, it's open, so
it's
just the latch there. Okay.
Which is handy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I still can't find the actual...
It sort of should
the
be the big reveal, shouldn't it?
Just pull really hard on your side.
No, don't pull.
No, what? Oh, no, it bends. I'm joking.
Oh, there's a button there.
Oh, is it?
Go, pull it up now. Okay, so we've just opened the bonnet to reveal what is... it's a fairly old car, isn't it?
Is this a runner?
This is 85. So this is 85. So this is right at the beginning of it, in actual fact, isn't it?
That doesn't look like it's done any work for years.
It doesn't look like it's done any work for years. I didn't know that it wasn't a runner, but there's quite a lot of corrosion in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
But it's very much as cars were at the time. It's very functional, isn't it? So you have the top of the engine showing in aluminium, and it's quite corroded.
And it's very obviously an overhead cam, single cam engine.
Yeah, it's got that rounded feel to it, hasn't it?
It does actually have a very nice engine shape about it.
Yeah.
You look at that, the way the cam sits in that gallery that looks like it's bolted on top of the head separately.
Yeah.
It's quite a distinctive looking engine.
Volkswagen did the same sort of thing, didn't they, with the Golf engine? It looks similar, doesn't it? The Peugeot engine looks similar. The 8-valve Peugeot engine looks similar. They all have that same sort of, with all the gubbins for the injector behind.
This was the heyday of really sort of like, going, it's an overhead cam engine.
Yeah.
Look at this. We're going to make it really, really look like one. And that really does look like an overhead cam engine.
And they're all sweet little engines. You can imagine having that out and taking it apart, can't you?
I know that's a great engine.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't knock the engine at all. I know they are great. And like you say, they're a bit unpredictable, a little bit leery. You never quite know when it's going to go large on you.
No, and I think there's quite a lot of lag on it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing. I mean, you can't see the turbocharger, can you? It's down there underneath
I have in my
the ejection system. Will's got a head torch.
I've got my head torch. Let's have a little sneaky peek down the back.
Ah, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a little baby, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, you don't need much room to keep that, do you?
No, you don't. It's neat. It's a neat package, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a clever idea, isn't it? The whole thing about making something like this that was relatively cheap. I mean, if you had the money and you were young in the day, this would be a great entertaining car. I mean,
if you had
a lot of them
money,
be wrapped round trees, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, they bend quite readily as well. There's not a terrible amount of tin involved in the manufacture of these things.
No.
But hot hatches, and this is in that bracket.
Oh, yeah.
Very
this
much
was
a hot
right
hatch.
up there, yeah.
And just look at the styling of the whole thing. Yes, it looks particularly Fiat. I know it was designed by one of the famous Italian designers, whose name I can't remember.
I think Giugiaro did this.
Aha.
I think.
And was he responsible for the Scirocco as well?
Don't know about that, but he certainly did this.
Yeah. There you go. So, you know, a real sort of top-end design.
What did for these in the end was probably insurance, don't you think? Because it's a young man's car. I don't say young man's car, it's a young person's car.
It was the hot hatch issue, wasn't it? But, you know, when you sort of go back through the archives, you remember, and hot hatches were all the rage. And then the sort of general populace were going, oh, those terrible hot hatches. And, yeah, there were a lot of young kids wrapping them around lampposts.
But don't you think, in your mind, in my mind, so now, I'm thinking there was the hooligans and then there was the classy version. Golf GTI, classy.
Classy.
Renault...
hooligan.
Renault 5 GT, hooligan.
Hooligan.
Fiat Uno Turbo, hooligan.
Hooligan, yeah.
205 GTI,
Well,
classy.
that's a bit of both.
But it's funny what makes you know how you work it out in your mind.
It really is.
So of those that were available at the time,
I like that outlook on it. I've never looked at it from that point of view before. That's our view.
Yeah.
Which people might disagree with, and you're more than welcome to disagree with us. That's fine. It's just what we think at the moment.
So what do you? Where would you be then? In that, if you were that age at this time, this is the early 80s, isn't it?
What hot hatch would I be in?
Yeah. I mean, you're a classy sort of guy.
Yeah, so that would, because I'm also a bit of a hooligan, so I would very definitely be in the Peugeot 205
I
GTI.
think so. Yeah, 1900, or maybe definitely. A 1600 or 1900.
I'll go large.
Yeah,
because I don't want to go home.
No,
you know,
that was a cracking car.
Well, you know the best thing about the GTI 205? The wheels. Those wheels just
they were
really,
great.
They cut the mustard style-wise with that shape of car, that bubbly shaped car. And I've had a couple of 205s. And as you know, I'm a fan of the diesel, so all of mine were diesels. Because they're cheaper to run, Gus.
Rock and roll.
It's not because I like the smell of diesel.
You're not allowed in the car yet.
Okay.
We haven't finished on the outside.
Sorry.
We need to...
Okay, well, if we're still looking at the outside, I've noticed a problem with this one. It's the addition of the Fixomatic cloth tape.
I hadn't seen that, but let's just explain that this has got an optional sunroof in it. Sunroofs in old cars can be problematic. Sunroofs in old Italian cars probably
weren't guaranteed to be problematic.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of rust.
This one is definitely going through the process of creating a problem for itself.
A secondary sunroof.
And yes. And for the owner. So, looking at the sunroof at the moment as I am, I'm standing next to the passenger door. I've got my head in my hand, and I'm looking at the Fixomatic cloth tape, which is holding the passenger side of the sunroof together, or leak-free.
Sealing it,
Sealing. At the front of the sunroof, where it meets the steel panel, is crunchy, to say the least, bubbling up.
Well, there's a hole as well.
Yeah, and the other issue as well is just in front of the
don't touch. Not allowed to touch.
Yeah,
it's not
that's
ours.
a very good point, because if I touch that aerial,
I
which
can see
I'm
what's going to happen
pointing out from a distance...
It's much bigger this side, though.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well...
So there's an area of rot round the area. So the aerial pops up from the middle of the screen, on the roof, in the middle of the screen, just in front of the sunroof. And, there's quite a lot of...
Terribly rusty.
Yeah. It's a. As we know from cars in the past, we had a BX that had quite a lot of rust down there, didn't we? Which was bizarre, because BXs are mostly plastic, aren't they? But they made the roofs of metal,
well, it's closer to the rain, so they made it out of the stuff that goes rusty.
Yes.
Hold on. You're talking about the BX of having a rusty sunroof.
Yeah.
What about that Rolls Royce?
Yeah, I think we'd made a pact, hadn't we?
Oh yeah, we're not going to think about that ever again.
Okay. So there's a bit of there's a bit of rot around the sunroof.
And on the top of this door as well. Top of the driver's door, where the rear end of the window.
Passenger door. You're the passenger side.
Oh, sorry, I'm still on this side.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So on passenger side of the car, passenger door just above the lock. Fair bit of surface rust, let's say.
This side's very good. This side is all very good. A little bit around the filler cap, which is on the rear offside, driver's side.
The plastics on this side are in very nice condition, Gus.
The plastics are very good on this side. And you know, there's that thing about bringing the oils back out in the plastics, isn't there, by heating them.
Yes.
Because actually, if you look in, I'm looking rear three-quarter now from driver's side, it looks great. Absolutely great. And that's the angle of this car, I think. And it looks powerful and meaningful. What I'm saying is it's got more personality from the back. The boot handle is off-centered and down the bottom. It's a little bit quirky. You know, it's got stuff going on.
I think it's quite handy that the styling seems to really take shape at the back end. I'm liking several things about it. I will say, because it's a hot hatch, most other road users would be seeing this end of the car rather than the front end of the car because it's just overtaken them in a leery fashion.
Yeah, I would have thought.
And showing off their incredible GRP tailgate with built-in
the spoiler
visor,
at the top.
spoiler visor on the top end of it.
I don't think I knew, but looking at it now, you can see that is GRP.
Quite an interesting shape, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know, that's a nice piece of design.
Do you think it might have been a good idea for them to make the roof out of it as well?
Well, I think it would have paid to make the doors out of it as well, because those are rusty as well. And we haven't even looked underneath yet, Gus.
So it presents pretty well. It's a shame about that rust around the sunroof there, isn't it? Because actually, I mean, that's the thing about hot hatches. I'm looking at this thinking, oh, it's just a hatchback. There was 8 million of them made, but this one is properly hot. And you can tell because it's got this badge, Uno Turbo IE. It's a lot of stuff to put on the back of a car.
It is, yeah. You need to know it all, though, because you could mistake it as being not a car that's impressive on the speed front. It's worth saying that though this car hasn't been used for a long time, obviously, and there is a bit of rust on the roof, it is really, really shiny.
Really shiny.
It's super shiny. Now, a quick question. That cover that it was under with Panda written on it and Fiat written on it, you didn't bring that here, did you?
No.
This car's been kept under a cover.
Yeah, this car's been kept under a cover for a reason, because this is a rare beast.
Highly loved.
Yeah.
Rare beast. Yeah. And worth it.
Yeah. It's a proper rare beast. I think we should take a bit of a commercial break at this point.
I'm thinking that as well. So
before we dive inside, because once the inside is revealed, it's going to blow your mind.
Preparing for blowing.
Right, we're back with our first generation Turbo IE Uno.
In white.
In white.
Which is incredibly shiny and nice with good plastics.
Good plastics.
Tiny
original
bit
wheels.
of surface rust in the doors.
Yes.
A horrible bit of rust in the roof.
Well, we assume it's under a bit of tape. Might be nothing under it. Might just be a bit of tape.
It might just be that somebody left some tape on there, yeah. But in general, the car from the outside is presenting very, very nicely.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, I almost hate to say it, but I've got to admit, it is an iconic piece.
It is an iconic piece, isn't it? And this one is original, and I think that's important to say, isn't it? Because it was when I was looking to find one, very difficult to find an original one. A lot of them have been customised one way or another, or engines blown over boosting engines and all sorts of things that go on with the car where the margins aren't really enough to do them up.
No.
That's the rub, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been wondering as I've been walking around it, you know, this car to me looks like it is 100% correct.
Yeah.
And that's a rare beast.
And it's the one you want.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that I want it yet. I want to see what it looks like on the inside.
Okay,
you promised it was going to blow my mind.
You should go round to the driver's side. I'll get in the passenger side. I'm playing Miss Daisy.
Okay, are my clothes clean enough to get in this?
Actually, yeah. Have I got a dirty bum?
And I'm going to shut my eyes. I'm getting in the. Oh, Gus, don't do that. I've got my eyes shut at the moment. I'm going to open my eyes once.
It's a bit far forward for you. I know your relaxed position.
Okay, I've got.
You might want to adjust the seats.
I've got cramp already.
Doesn't quite suit you. Oh, there we go. Oh, come on, look at that.
Whoa.
That is great, isn't it? Glasses?
Oh, yes. Well, yeah.
Have you got glasses?
I've got some right here.
Well, I'm putting some glasses on because actually, the steering wheel is a 4-spoke steering wheel going into a rectangle with Uno Turbo IE. So you always know.
You don't want to forget that, do you?
No, you don't want to forget that.
It's worth remembering because whilst you're waiting for that turbo to kick in,
you can read that.
You can read that, and then when it does go in, it's like Turbo IE as you exit the roundabout sideways.
Can you just talk us through the gauges? Because there's a lot of gauges on there, and they're great, aren't they?
So I'm looking at the arrangements in front of me. There's tons of stuff. Like you just said, there's a lot of it.
It's exciting. You can't deny it's exciting.
No,
Even
this
before
is
you get into it,
exciting.
it's exciting, isn't it?
So we've got rev counter, we've got speedo, obviously.
Okay,
So
rev counter
that's-
on which side?
that's on the right-hand side.
No, that's
It's
speedo.
Electronic.
Isn't it?
No, that one's
Oh, yeah,
speedo,
that's
no,
right. Yeah, okay,
that's
so
it, yeah.
right-hand side is rev counter.
Yeah. Electronic times 100, it says. But that's nice. Speedo, rev counter, sorted. Big one between those, medium size, let's say, is the turbo boost gauge.
Oh, that's got to be worth watching.
It has, yeah.
So you
but-
know when it's coming.
I know, but the numbers on that's impressive because it goes from 0 to 1.
Is that 1 bar, I
It
suppose?
must be 1 bar.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's Italian.
1 bar.
Yeah, 1 bar, so it's 14.7 psi.
Yeah.
So that's quite a lot. I mean, that's what a turbo should be running at. So if you hit that 1 bar, you are literally
trouble.
leaving town at speed. Yeah. Other gauges, fuel gauge, temperature gauge, oil pressure gauge, oil temperature gauge.
Yeah.
And lots of lights for everything else. So we've got the full.
1,
the full
2,
thing
3,
there.
4, 5, 6, 7 swingy needle gauges. That's
Yeah.
great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then these amazing. So on the pods on the side of the binnacle, pods with
Paddle flappy switches.
they're big,
They
big.
are. You
And
can
I
reach-
think,
oh, that's
yes.
quite nice. Look at that.
But that's what it's for. So
I've got-
so when you're getting your terrible lag on the turbo, you don't have to take your hands off the wheel.
No, which is handy because
Yes.
you're busy reading what it says on the middle of the wheel.
So when the wheels are spinning and you're getting your understeer or you're getting your
torque steer,
that's exactly
everything,
what it
everything's
is.
going wrong with the liveliness of the front end. I've got my hands on the wheel. I've got my arms outstretched because I'm in a racing car, so I'm seat all the way back like
Yep.
a young lad driving a car, window quarter of the way down.
You actually, that's how you sit anyway.
Is it?
You sit really well back and
Do
with
I?
the back quite a relaxed. I'd say
Yeah.
the deck chair
I
position.
do like the deck chair position. But I often drive a big fat 4x4.
I know,
Currently, I drive a
exactly.
Range Rover.
I know,
So,
very
you know,
classy, isn't it?
anything above 30 miles an hour feels like 30 miles an hour. So chill out.
But so I'm detracting because these are impressive, aren't
Yeah,
they?
so I'm arms stretched out, hands on the wheel, just with my fingers slightly extended because you know my fingers don't actually straighten. So this is quite a comfortable position. I can operate my wipers and my dip beam, high beam.
Yeah. Yep. What's that down there?
Oh, that's the
That's
actual
false.
general
Oh,
lights.
no, that's the
isn't it?
lights, yeah.
General
that's on a
lights.
smaller button because that
Yeah.
actually makes more sense that that's on
It
a
does,
smaller
yeah.
button.
So
But it's weird not having the headlights on the main
Where's-
beam and that on a.
where's the high and low beam?
Here, this is it.
That is it.
I
Oh,
think it's
yeah.
that toggle button.
It is that one.
That's great, isn't it? That's sort of groundbreaking, isn't it? Because nobody does it.
Because it's
anymore,
not
do they?
on a stalk.
It's not on a stalk. All you got on a stalk is indicators and the hooter. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's no battery.
No, which is a pity because I was going to beat the horn and scare you.
So in the middle, we've got
Oh, we're straight back to the 1980s.
Yeah.
Radio cassette player.
and a nice looking one
Yeah,
as well.
It is. It looks good.
Don't put your finger in there.
I won't because the front's a bit bendy on it, as it
nice.
turns out. Yeah, look
Well,
at
these
that.
were the ones that were nicked mercilessly
Oh, yeah.
at this time. Having a car stereo, certainly in London.
was a problem area.
Yeah, everyone used to nick them, didn't
Yeah.
they? What on earth for?
I think it's ridiculous, isn't it? People used to nick alloy wheels as well.
Yeah,
Thankfully, they
alloy
don't.
wheels, but aluminium as a commodity, I sort of get
Yeah.
that. But why would you nick a radio to put it in your car?
Well, I suppose that, I mean, hold on, aren't we looking at it from today's point of view where radios are just so commonplace? I mean,
We don't even have one anymore, do you?
did this come with a decent radio, or did it come with a decent radio? And if it did, was it just a radio? And was this, a radio cassette player, a posh thing to have?
I think this is
Excuse
a.
me.
I don't know whether Sparkomatic is a.
That's not a posh make, is it?
I don't know. I mean, I can only think of
It
the
doesn't
sort
fill
of
me
Blue
with
Point ones and
confidence.
the.
Yeah, I was hoping it's going to be Bluff Point or
Yeah.
Bang & Olufsen or
Yeah.
Pioneer.
So this is the centre console that goes all the way down and includes the gear lever. And it's worth pointing out that this has got 5 gears. What are you doing? You can't take stuff off.
It lifts off. Look,
Oh,
look.
it lifts off.
This
okay.
is a cigarette. It's an ashtray.
It
that
is an ashtray.
Just hooks over the front of the dashboard.
That's so 80s, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you
Look,
can share it with your passenger.
It's the sliding one.
So you could be having a fag,
Yeah.
and then I could be having a fag.
And we could slide it across to
Slide
each
it across as and when we wanted to
Yeah.
empty the ash.
Or when you're going around corners really fast,
Yeah.
it slides on its own.
Entertainment.
Go the other way, comes back. So smoking and flicking your ash can be corner related.
Yeah, that's great. So the rest of the dash goes across, and it's just got a sort of padded bar that goes across the front, and then the back is all sort of storage area. It's all recessed into a storage area.
If this was my car, that would be full up with things that are sliding from side to side.
Yes, that would be a down point. You'd have to keep that clear, wouldn't you?
Yeah, nuts and bolts and...
Driving glove, maybe.
Driving glove. Well, the boiled sweets and driving gloves could go in there, couldn't they?
Yeah,
hold on. What? Bright. I mean, was that wine red carpet?
Yeah, that's standard.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's actually quite jazzy,
this car
isn't it?
is pretty much, I would say, pretty much 100% standard.
That's actually quite nice. It's quite contrasting.
And the seats are nice. They've got the little Fiat badge in red, haven't they? Repeated pattern down the middle.
Yeah. So we've got a nice shaped seat with decent bolsters.
Yeah.
Base and back.
Yeah.
And the rear seats are
basic. But it's basic and it's clean and it's quite nicely designed.
It feels quite luxurious because we've got the black base colour, red detailing with the Fiat pattern on the seats, as you say, red carpets, which are... That's lively.
Yeah, it's good.
And nice as well.
Yeah.
The mats, I can only presume those come with it because it all matches perfectly.
It does match perfectly. And then there's a glove box here in front of me. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. It's well thought out in here, isn't it? And although it's that whole Fiat thing, isn't it, of it being, it's basic, but if something's basic and it's well thought out, well designed, it works, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think this is nice. We put it in the Larry category.
Yeah.
Well, this interior is actually quite splendid.
It is, isn't it?
This feels like an expensive car.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like it because of that. You said it would blow my mind. You're right, it has. Yes. I wasn't expecting it to be as nice as this.
No, it's good, isn't it?
The only thing I can see sort of wrong with the interior of the car is, the bane of our life.
Yes.
The saggy headlining.
Saggy headline. And although we do know how to sort it out, it's quite a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's got to come out.
Yes.
And it's got to be reapplied. The adhesive has got to be reapplied, and then it's got to all be put back in. It's quite a big job.
It's quite a lot of work. I can imagine quite a lot easier on this car, though, because it's a Fiat Panda, and they're very... Sorry.
It's not.
It's not a Fiat Panda. It's a Fiat Uno. It said Panda on the outside.
I know.
They are simple cars to work on, and that's a saviour.
I've just noticed something. Look, there's a computer here. What is that?
A computer or a digital clock?
Well, it's a digital clock, but it counts. It's early computerization. It's a digital clock, right up underneath above the rear view mirror.
And a little air blower.
There's a vent, which is great. That must be an amazingly torturous journey for the air to come up, mustn't it? Yeah. So there's an air vent in there, and there's a... Is there a light as well? There we go.
That's my head torch.
Will's head torch is on.
Oh, yes, there's a light inside the air.
It's not
an air vent.
It's a light. It's what I would call a map reading light.
Yeah, or a chameleon's eyelid.
That's the technical term for it.
Is it? Yeah. Well, that's good, because I hit that straight on the head. What I'm not going to do is...
No.
I'm not going to rotate the handle to the sunshine roof, because we know that it's quite possibly held together with cloth tape.
Yeah, never coming back again. It's great in here, isn't it?
It is. Oh, look at the door handles on the inside. Look at that.
Let's have a look.
That means business, doesn't it?
Yeah, they've got each
decent armrest.
It's good. There's a good armrest on the door, so we're looking at the door cards now.
My relaxed, reclined driving position.
They're on winders. They were on winders. Is that rare for this era, having winders?
No.
I don't think it was. It's rarer having electric. And also electric windows meant...
All the Volkswagens at this age had electric.
Did they, though?
They did, yeah. The Polos did.
Oh, they had a switch down here in the centre, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they did. But that's a weight thing, though, as well, isn't it? It's much less weight to have a winder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
It is.
Yeah.
Right, I think before we go underneath this car, and that's going to be a struggle, isn't it? Because it's quite a low car.
Yeah.
Before we go underneath it, shall we have a commercial break and give someone else the opportunity to shine?
Yes. This is your opportunity to advertise on our podcast.
Right, we're back. We're back with our Uno Turbo, our white Uno Turbo, which is presenting, I think, very nicely and is absolutely 100% original.
That's the nice thing about this car. It's perfect in its originality.
Yeah.
Even apart from the bit of cloth tape that's holding the roof together.
With its mind-blowing interior, let's not... But we've got the opportunity, the rare opportunity to put it on a ramp. So we're gonna put it up on the ramp, and we're gonna have a little look underneath it, see what's going on.
We've got it all sorted on the ramp, so we're ready to go. Shall I press the button?
Go on then.
It's quite a noisy ramp.
It's great, yeah. Yeah, don't knock it. We haven't got one, have we?
No, well, there you go. Very good point.
So what, talk amongst yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, OK, so we're about 4 foot off the ground now.
Will's going to take you through it. Actually, you know what? I hadn't noticed. These fog lights, they are great and not smashed. And they're straight. And they're in the absolute perfect contour of the bumper.
The reflector in the back's a little bit dull in this side.
Is it?
And that side's a lot better.
It's pretty good, isn't
You
it?
can see through the grille. The radiator's in pretty good shape.
Big radiator.
There's no rot in what I can see of the front panel, which is quite... Oh, look at that.
Oh, there we go.
Ah. Right, the car is now getting to about 6 foot off the ground, so we can start walking underneath it.
We'll just about get under, won't we?
Well, I mean, this is one of those things when you go to a museum, isn't it? You can sort of split off in different directions and arrange to meet at the front end in a minute.
Yeah, well,
so
we could do that.
I'm going to wander down the back, and I'm just putting my head torch on at the moment so I can see what I'm up to.
So I'd say this was pretty standard front suspension for these sort of cars, a pressed steel wishbone at the bottom and then a McPherson strut on the top with the damper and the coil in it. That's pretty much standard, isn't it?
I would say so, yes. That's...
You can also see that this car's sat around for quite a long time because there's surface rust down here, isn't there?
I've just come back up to the front end because I felt lonely down on my own at the other end of the car.
Well, it seemed a weird thing to do. You just wandered off.
I get overexcited and wander. When I was a small child, we lived in Birmingham, and I got overexcited and wandered off. And instead of waiting at the bus stop with my mother for the correct bus, I just got onto the first bus that came along.
Is that how you ended up in Bath?
Yeah. My mother was very cross with me. I think if she was still alive now, she'd still be very cross with me.
Did you really just get on a bus?
I just got on a bus. It took her hours to find me. Poor girl. Yeah, the Fairman's surface rust on this subframe.
Yeah,
It's just a real pity because, it's...
You say that. It's got a new bottom wishbone on there, hasn't it?
On the driver's side, there's bottom arm.
But that rust, what do you think? I mean, if you took all that off and blasted it, would you be through that, or...?
Oh, I think that's just surface rust.
Yeah.
I think that what's happening, it's got underneath the paint. I am picking at it, which I know you keep on telling me not to, but this is investigative.
But it's interesting that that's got beneath the paint, isn't it? Or beneath the protection on this car.
Yeah.
But this is the fixing point for the bottom wishbone, is what we're looking at.
Yes, it's a sort of mini subframe.
It's a little subframe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It goes up to the engine mounts as... Oh, does it?
Yeah,
it does,
takes the rear gearbox mounts.
Yes, yeah.
And it mounts to the underside of the front chassis legs. And collectively it mounts the lower arms, the gearbox, the steering rack, all on a subframe mounted to the body of the car.
So that subframe is bolt-on and bolt-offable, isn't it?
Yes.
So...
Well, you need a gearbox jack to hold.
Yeah, you would. But what I'm saying is you could take it out. In a worst-case scenario, that's...
I think, yes. So you're thinking about taking it off, cleaning... To the possibility of cleaning it.
Yeah, take it off completely, blast it.
That certainly looks like a doable job, I would say.
That would just be time, wouldn't it?
So this is quite nice. So one of the problems that you'd often get with a front-wheel drive car at this sort of period is a little problem with torque steer. You generally
especially one with a turbocharger.
Yeah, yes. So part of that issue is one very long shaft that runs on the driver's side from the gearbox to the wheel.
Unequal shafts, basically.
Unequal shafts. Now, this one is split into two,
yeah.
which I believe would actually help a little bit, but not completely solve the problem.
I would say the proof of that would be in the driving of the car.
Yeah.
But I think that's the case, isn't it? That's what it's all about, isn't it? Unequal shafts. So if they're equal length.
Yeah, I mean, you've still got the same length of shaft. It just goes to another coupling.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's get around the steering geometry, the suspension geometry, and hopefully help with the torque steer. I don't know. Let's
I don't know
leave that one open, I suppose.
There's a bit
This is a intercooler.
Has it got an intercooler?
It's got an intercooler.
It has got an intercooler, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't
That's
spot
pretty
that,
good
I have to
going.
say.
Oil cooler, intercooler. It's got the full.
It has.
It's got the full amount of kit that you would want.
It's got the full amount of coolers.
Yeah, and one for the engine too.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet it hasn't got air conditioning one.
I don't know if that...
I wouldn't have thought so.
I don't think so
Yeah.
either.
So what am I seeing here? I'm saying really, everything's complete. That intercooler looks like it's in marvellous condition, along with the oil cooler that's relatively recent. And
I would say that's relatively new, isn't
yeah.
it? It's got a bit of rust on the sump there, hasn't it? But, you know, paint's peeling off.
I'm not spotting any major issues down here, bar that rust on the subframe.
Yeah.
The exhaust pipe's pretty crunchy.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah, that's very crunchy.
Yeah,
but it doesn't look like it. So did that land on you?
That landed on me. Yeah.
I'll stop doing that.
So this is our fuel pumps under here. There's a little bracket at the back made of this little press steel bracket, which is hung underneath the car, which has got fuel pump and fuel filter on it. But that looks a bit flimsy
Something
to me.
seems to be leaking.
It's rubber mounted onto a bracket which goes onto the body. Oh, something is leaking.
Look at this, a bit of petrol.
Is it
here.
petrol? But it's coming from the back of the tank. There's a little something on the back
Now,
of the tank.
that's getting there. And that is an unusual place to find a petrol leak, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's been squirted out of a leaking pipe on the fuel system.
I
Oh,
think there's a
no,
widget
look,
there.
there's a hole in the tank.
Yeah, it's been welded up,
Oh,
hasn't it,
dear,
something?
no, that's bulging paint.
Is it?
That's bubbling
Don't touch,
paint.
don't
It
touch.
looks like it's got a blob of weld on it, but...
It hasn't.
I mean, you'd never do that, obviously. Never
you
ever do that, anybody. Don't weld petrol tanks. They can end your week badly. This one's ending its week badly by starting to leak.
Yeah, don't touch it.
No, I'll
You're
leave
just
that
going to
one
make
alone.
that worse.
That's a pity, because it needs a new fuel tank.
So at the back, we've got basically two trailing arms connected by a very, very large beam.
It's a beam axle.
Yeah.
That's what they're called. So they're really good axles, and pretty much everything of this era, you know, Golfs, Polos, not 205s, but, you know...
No, I don't know. I don't think
Lots of other cars had this sort of axle. It was a good run-of-the-mill, because the beam in the centre acts as your anti-roll bar.
Yep.
And then you've got coil springs
you've
either
got-
side.
Effectively independent suspension every
Yeah,
side,
but
but then
they-
that acting as a stiffener between the two.
That's it. But it's relatively rot-free down here. Oh, hold on.
Oh, it's quite crunchy under there,
That's
isn't
an
it?
issue. Looking at the back of the sill on the passenger side of the car, there's even some yellow chalk on that. Look, yellow crayon.
Oh, yeah. This
This has failed an MOT.
It looks like a pain to me to sort that out. It looks like a lot of work.
Yeah, that's inner sill, outer sill, and if there's any other stiffening plates inside of there, those
Yeah.
will
All
those
need to
will
be-
also be stuffed.
I always err away from saying it because, of course, all cars of this age suffer with rust, but
Yeah.
some suffer more than others, don't they?
Yeah, and I think it is that thing where, you know, I don't want to be mean on Fiats, because this isn't to be mean on Fiats. It's just that they were a little bit. They were a little bit worse. Yeah.
So if we were looking at this car to take it away, what would we do with this car? Where would we go with this car? We have a brilliant interior. That's a great starting point, don't we?
Yeah, and it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
So nothing needed there, just a bit of elbow grease and polish.
And we also know that if you wanted an Uno, this is the one you'd want because it's completely standard.
Yes. Must have a new fuel tank.
That's a must, yep.
There are some rust issues, as in surface rust on the front subframe.
But that sort of pales into
That's-
insignificance
yeah, that's-
when you look at the rear, doesn't it? When you look
Yeah,
at that.
so we'd probably be putting our effort more into welding up that rear sill.
Yeah.
The rear end of the passenger side sill. Top side of the car, well, it's mainly a bit of rust on the door and a can of worms with the sunroof.
Sunroof is a can of worms, isn't it?
Yeah, and they always are.
But that's where you've got to start calculating whether it's worth our time, haven't you? Because and it's the same with the wing there. It's a lot of deconstruction before you get back to reconstruction, before you get back to cosmetics.
From what I can see at the moment, you're looking at a bit of skillful, delicate welding repairs in the roof skin.
Yeah.
I think you'd probably get away with that, and then the roof needs repainting.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, really, we've got the sill to weld up, we've got a petrol tank to replace, there's some other things that we could do if we wanted to, the roof to repair and repaint, and a bit of paint work on the door. It's not very much on a list, but it's the two areas of welding.
It's one of those things, isn't it? And also, once you've started, you don't know where it's going, do you?
Well, you do know you can't stop, because I can imagine that this is not going to be a cheap car to buy.
Yeah.
And it's only going to fetch so much.
Want the Nuno Turbo? I don't suppose you probably do. But if you wanted a Nuno Turbo, you'd have.
I'm shaking my head at the moment.
He's shaking his head. But you'd be buying this to own it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And that's the rub. We wouldn't be buying it to sell it. But if you wanted one, this is the one you'd buy.
Yeah, it is. And I would also say that this is definitely within the realms of saving.
Yes.
This is definitely worth doing without knowing the prices.
Yeah.
You've got to do this car. It needs doing. And I think that sort of comes down to, it's often the fallback that we often have. So we fall in love with the car and decide we must work on that car.
Yeah.
I think we would just do it and end up taking probably a risk that we can't afford to take.
Yeah.
But we do it.
Okay, right. So that's good. That's the end of another episode.
Yeah.
I wanted to say again, also, I mean, we have mentioned this before, but if anyone's got a car that they fancy us coming to have a look at,
or maybe you're part of a club, and
yeah,
you've got a series of different types of car.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good shout.
Then it would be lovely to meet up and come and visit you, or you come and visit us.
Well, they can come to us. Yeah,
we can talk car.
Yeah, be great. It's a lovely thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, if you want to get in touch, we've got our Instagram site, which is Flipping Bangers. No capitals, no hyphens, no nothing. Just Flipping Bangers. Go on, what are you going to say?
I was going to say thank you very much for listening, everybody.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
The Flipping Bangers podcast features Gus Gregory and Will Trickett. It's produced by Dan Allum and is a Justamite TV production. International copyright is asserted. No opinions in the show are personally held. Audio engineering is by Stephen O'Toole, and we've used a sample composed by Lakey Inspired. If you'd like to get in touch, please visit justmite.tv or chat to us via Instagram at Flipping Bangers. Thanks for listening.